welcome to Emerge Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. That was the Jackson State Marching Band, the Sonic Boom with Get Ready for We're Ready. It's Beyond the Game with Mr. Otis Brown, the future inductee of the Jackson State Hall of Fame. Mr. Brown will be inducted September 24th, 2022. Mr. Brown is a product of Perryville, Louisiana. He is a graduate of Bascom High 1979 class, where he was an all-state football player and track, where he was known he had 4.4 speed. He went on to go to Jackson State, where he won 3 SWAC titles there with the Tigers, and he went on to play and be drafted in 1983 in the USFL and the NFL at the same time. We have our own none other than Mr. Otis Lee Brown, future Hall of Famer. Mr. Brown, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing well. Mr. Otis. Glad to have an opportunity to sit down with you.
Yes, sir. We're glad to have you on, Mr. Brown. I've been looking over your resume. You've been quite fascinating throughout the years since your post NFL and USFL career. You've been with the National Air Force for over 35 years. I see you've been a supervisor with transportation. You've been a financial analyst for the last several years, and now you are a financial consultant. How's life been treating you, Mr. Brown? Hello?
Yeah, all is well. All is well. I have no complaints. All is well.
Okay. Yeah, so kind of tell us about how you grew up, Mr. Brown.
Well, you mentioned it that I grew up in Perryville, Louisiana. But my first 3 years of school, elementary school, was at Sterlington High School in Sterlington. Then my fourth grade, my mother moved up to Bastrop, to Perryville area. Of course, I finished elementary school right there at H.B. Adams. Went on to the junior high, Bastrop Junior High, and then finishing up high school in 1979 right there at Bastrop High.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You had a remarkable career at Bastrop High. I was looking at some of the stats. You rushed for over 1,100 yards your junior year, and you had a couple of injuries your senior year. But kind of tell us about the experience you had at Bastrop High in the 70s and what kept you so focused that you went on to make it to the NFL and the USFL.
Yes, sir. Well, I was focused mainly because I'm gonna say the type of life that I grew up in. You know, of course, we grew up in Perryville. You know, I came from a family of 8 other brothers and sisters. No father, influence in the house. But some people would think that was bad, but it engaged me and had me to focus more on getting things done and having a better life.
Right. So you went on and did remarkable things at Bastrop High. How was it in the 70s? Did you experience a lot of racism, being a prominent black athlete during those times?
No, I did not. I did not. You know, and if it was alive and well, I did not experience it. Probably mainly because, my father, which is Coach Ed White, was a mentor and a father to me. And if it would not have been for Coach White, I would not have done as well or gone as far because, like you said, he mentored me and he kept me, in line and straight, and kept me focused on what I needed to do.
Right. So you went on. You have a couple of records. I was amazed to know that you guys were actually running a 220-yard dash back then, and it's kind of like you may have some records that have never been broken because the way the races in high school and how the times have changed. But kind of tell us about this track team you guys had that was pretty good coming along that time with this 220-yard dash.
Yes, sir. I just think, like I said, I did. I broke the record in the 220 as well as the 100-yard dash while at Ballston Park. And also, the relay team held the 440-yard relay record while we was there.
Wow. So the way you guys, now they run in meters, and you guys were actually running a further distance back then. Am I correct?
That is correct.
So you guys, what we'll call today, was some true horses, because I look at some of the guys you came along with, Mr. Worley, Mr. Jimmy Worley, Joey Evans. You had a quite remarkable class. You and Coach Evans actually went to the pros. Tell us about that 79 class, 1980 class, and all the guys that you remember that were prominent athletes as well.
Oh, yeah, it was several of them. Anthony Jenkins, for one, and who went on and played in the Canadian Football League. And you just named one. But like I said, we were just having fun and enjoying life.
Right. So after that, we go on. You go to Jackson State. You end up winning 3 SWAC championships while you were there. One you guys tied, but you was a high prospect going into your senior year, and they really thought you were an All-American, high quality NFL prospect, but you had some injuries that were lingering from high school that showed back up around the end of your junior senior year. What kind of conditioning that you took to get on out of there and make it to the NFL, Mr. Brown? Tell us about that injury.
Well, it was a knee injury that I experienced in my senior year at Jackson State. Set out a few games, played a couple of games, and injury came back, was set out. But I was determined to, just give it all that I had. And, well, we made it through. And thank God that even after, limping through my senior year at Jackson State, I was still drafted, like you said, in both leagues, the NFL as well as USFL.
Right. So you guys, we're going to take an intermission after this, but you guys made history, that draft class of 1983. You guys were the first ones that were allowed to actually be drafted by the NFL and the USFL, and you went on to be drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals and the Oakland Invaders. We'll be right back with Mr. Otis Lee Brown, Jackson State Hall of Famer, after this intermission. Welcome back. We're still here with future inductee, Jackson State Hall of Famer, our own Mr. Otis Lee Brown. Broke history at Bastrop High, made history at Jackson State, and is about to make more history as inductee. Mr. Brown, tell us about playing in the NFL and the USFL back then.
I really, enjoyed it. It was a dream come true it was something that I really dreamed about, and I just thank God that I have had the opportunity to play.
Right. You played with some remarkable guys when you got there. You had your handfuls with the likes of people like Eric Dickerson. Kind of tell us how it was when you got to St. Louis with the Cardinals and then with the Oakland Raiders. Who are some of the legendary guys that went on to be in the Hall of Fame that you had to compete with while you were there?
Oh yeah, you mentioned Eric. Eric was now he was a horse. Yes, sir. Just being drafted with him and had the opportunity, to go to some camps with him to see him work out and see, what he did and what he could do. And it was just a blessing just to be around, individuals like Eric Dickerson.
Right. When I looked at, like I say, your stats from high school to college all the way through the pros, and then when I found out that you was actually drafted by the NFL and the USFL, I was like, man, this is history in the making. I don't know too many guys from the area that played in both leagues or was drafted nevertheless the same time, the same day, the same year. Tell us how that experience and what was going through your mind that day that happened.
Well, like most guys, it was a long wait, to hear for your name to be called. But, when it was called and got the information, like I said, it was a blessing come true. And not only a blessing come true, it was just something that I really dreamed about and was believing God that would happen for me, that I can get drafted and be able to go and come back and help my family and definitely my mother, of course, in life.
Right. So you made it to the NFL USFL. You went on and you started working for the Air Force. Kind of tell us about your experience after the NFL and beyond the game working with the Air Force. Well,
after playing in both leagues, NFL as well as USFL, I experienced some stuff that I didn't truly like, and it was politics. That's why I can put it. And after playing in both and pretty much so experiencing in both leagues the same thing, and that is, you would think that the best players would have the opportunity to play, but I'm not for sure what it was or whatever. But stat wise, I was good in one of the league running back in both leagues. But when it came to getting on the field and getting the playing time, I did not get it. So after being released, we actually wasn't released. In '85, the USFL actually closed down. So I had the opportunity. I could go back to the NFL or go over to the Canadian Football League, but I wasn't led to do either one. If you want to know the truth, I had a bad taste in my mouth because I didn't get the playing time that I thought I should have got. Because if you look on paper, you can tell that I was one of the better backs, but I did not get the playing time that I thought I should have got. So, long story short, when the USFL went away, I then because I had a degree in finance, business finance, I just went on and started working for the United States Army. I went back to St. Louis where I was drafted and just started working with the Army.
Okay. That's where your career really begins, Mr. Brown. I look at your resume. I look at your athletic resume from high school to college to, like we say, the NFL, the USFL. I'm like, wow, I didn't really know this about Mr. Brown. I had been knowing you, but now that I done got into the archives and Google is my best friend, everything you just stated was true. And we just had another young man on here by the name of Marshae Green. because of his size and where he come from, maybe he was politicked out. But like you say, the Most High bless you, and you end up utilizing your degree and working for the Air Force. Now, tell us, how did exactly you get into the Air Force, not being that you were in the services?
Well, during that time, I guess it was also a blessing during that time. When you had your degree, all you had to do was submit resumes, and they would, and if you had your degree, they would take it and bring in as a intern. And then, when I mean intern, you come in as a GS7, and automatically go to a GS9, and automatically go to a GS11 because of that degree that you had. So it was just, I mean, all of it is timing, if you want to say timing, but I want to say that, all of it was, in God's timing.
Right, most definitely. So you went on and you started working for the Air Force. You hadn't yet returned home. I look at your resume, Mr. Brown, and the Most High never stopped exalting you from the day you broke that record from high school. I looked through the years on your resume, which is quite remarkable. I mean, it's a memoir on your resume by itself. You were promoted an average of every 3 to 5 years. What was going on with you that was keeping you motivated and influenced to keep pushing for the top?
Well, my motivation was still, try to take care of family. But like I said, God bless me. After the internship coming out as a GS11, God blessed me to go and be promoted to a GS12, and then after that to a GS13 supervisory. And God behold, even that I went to GS14. All about God's grace, and I'm not for sure how familiar you are with those grades, but GS14 is one step down from a SES. I mean, GS15, then an SES, which is pretty much so compatible to a general in the Army or in the Air Force. So God bless me to really. And he promoted me. I think he promoted me mainly because I wasn't actually treated right like I should have been treated for NFL or the USFL. But I think it's God's way of still promoting you and showing you that you're his child.
Right. I want to ask you, because I was looking at your resume, and then I look at your job duties, and I look at your job duties if that goes beyond what you're going on. Your job duty is during wartime, Mr. Brown, through the years has been very important. The war doesn't start if you don't have the numbers right. Talk to us about those positions during wartime.
That's correct. Right now, as far as dealing with over at Air Force Global Strike, I'm over the comm and information command. So when I mean information, all of the computer sources, all of the computer input, it comes through our office. Not just that, but because of communication, but all of the airplanes, the helicopters, all of those sources as far as come through Global Strike. We're in charge of all of the Air Force, and dealing with airplanes as well as helicopters. And something that a lot of other people don't understand about Air Force Global Strike, we also budget for all of the rockets that goes up into space. Also, we're responsible for financially make sure that everything is in place for the astronauts to go out of space as well as come back safely.
And Mr. Brown, that's why we bring on pioneers, legends like yourself on the broadcast. No one had any idea that someone from Perryville had experienced and done the things that you have, not only from an athletic standpoint, but from a professional standpoint, and you really have your hands in on the safety of this country. Mr. Brown, explain to us what was going on with you in your mind during 9/11.
Oh, 9/11. Oh, what was going on was when those airplanes hit those buildings and the buildings started falling. We're responsible. First thing was getting the president and out to safety. That's one of the first things that we're responsible for, as far as getting them on Air Force One or whatever airplane that we can get them on to get them to safety. And then not only that, we were also responsible for flying over America to make sure that no one else or no other plane or no other jet or anything else came into the United States to try to do anything that was out of the ordinary, put it that way. So, we had a big task before making sure protection of the United States was there and our people was protected.
Right. So that's why you're so important, Mr. Brown, and we want to give you your flowers today. You're being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I think it's from the sound of it, it may be some more awards. Because I look at your resume, you have several awards that you received in the Air Force from your duties and your commands. Let's talk about some of those awards and achievements that you got through years for your duties and your works in the Air Force.
Well, there are several awards, but I guess the main thing is just taking care of God, just taking care of the people, the United States, doing what we do. So just taking care of our people, make sure that they're safe. That's the rewarding thing in my 35 years of working, between the Army and Air Force. Making sure that our people, our country is safe.
Right. Like I said before, looking at your resume and all of the promotions that you've got through the years, I see another induction possibly coming down the line, you with the Air Force. We're going to take another intermission, and we'll be right back beyond the game with future inductee Jackson State, Mr. Otis Brown. Welcome back to Emerge 360. We're still here with future inductee Jackson State Hall of Famer this September the 24th, Mr. Otis Lee Brown. Mr. Brown, you've accomplished a lot of things through your life, and we are very proud of you. Let's talk about this induction that's coming up here pretty soon. You're finally getting what's due to you. Politics kind of hindered your professional career. And it kind of seemed like you was forgotten. But then Coach Sanders comes along, and here we go. Otis Brown has resurfaced. Hey, let's talk about this induction, Mr. Brown. What's going through your mind and how you feel about it?
Oh, it's one of the highest things, on my platter. This induction mean a lot to me, for Jackson State. to go back to Jackson State and be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's one of the things that I would enjoy most and would always remember, because of Jackson State and what Jackson State means to me.
Right. How you look at Jackson State now that Coach Prime is there, and from the looks of it, you guys were pretty much that last spark. They may have had a light throughout the years, but for just the reigning champions, I think that class that you guys come from were kind of that last class until up to now that was running the SWAC. How do you look at JSU and how you feel about Coach Prime being there?
Oh, he's doing a wonderful job. And you're right. I think we were the last group that came through that won three straight, SWAC championships. Right now, Coach Prime looks like he's gonna on the verge of doing that, or maybe even more, because of him as well as his coaches and the talent that he's able to bring in. So I'm looking forward to see how far and that he can take us.
Right. You just said something that was key, the talent he's able to bring in, and I know you're an athletic person. You keep up with sports. Your son played at Calvary Baptist. Mr. Brown, how do you feel about HBCUs and the talent you guys had back then, and what do you feel about the talent that HBCUs are capable of having compared to back then?
I think nowadays, the opportunity, to get some of the talent, probably, in our days, a lot of it, went to, the SEC, and I don't want to start naming teams, but, Alabama is just one of those teams that has the niche to get the best talent. But I just think, prime time coming to Jackson State, and now he got this field level a little bit. So some of the talent that would automatically have gone to some of these SEC teams, now it's coming over to Jackson State and coming on to other HBCU schools, and it's going to be exciting just to see how far and that we can go at Jackson State, and how many more of those talented paid players that we can get,
Right. Mr. Brown, being a minister, you've been a minister since college. You've been a minister for quite a while. How do you feel about the integration? You came along in school after integration, but when you look back on it, having that HBCU experience, do you think integration may have been a hindrance to us in HBCUs?
Well, of course. Yes, it was. But we're so resilient. As and if I put it out there, as Black people, we've been resilient, and we still are. So we can take it in stride and go on. And that's why we are where we are today. That we can take it, we can go through whatever we need to go to, and still come out on top.
Right. And that's why I stand with Coach Prime, and I'm proud that he decided, and the Jackson State staff decided to have another induction ceremony, and you get to be a part of it, Ms. Brown, because you're very deserving. Let's talk about your vision that the Most High gave you. You and I to Lance, we spoke about it several years ago when you kind of first came back. Kind of tell the people what you have going on with your ministry, and let's talk about your outreach program you have.
Okay. God sent me back to home in 2010, and I've been back in Belfast since then. We started our church, New Creation Christian Church, and God gave us a vision to come and really show our children, pretty much so the children ministry, for children, I mean, of course, adolescents, teenagers, young adults, even adults, who they are in Christ. I believe one of the things that we as definitely in the Bastrop area, that we don't know who we are in Christ. We don't know what we can have and what we can become if we put God first in our lives.
Right. Mr. Brown, you purchased a big chunk of property down there, 25 acres, I believe, and about 20,000 square feet of buildings. Tell us about some of the things that you plan on doing with it if you could get the support that you really need. Just tell us about that purchase.
Oh, yes. Actually, we have 25 acres, like you said, and we have right at 25,000 square feet also for building space. And since we've been back in the Bastrop area, we've done some activities, and it's our plan to do more. When we first came back, we done some go-kart racing back there on the property. We've done Friday night roller skating. We've had, as well as activities during the week, parties, activities that if you wanted to, have a party or and didn't have nowhere to go, we would bring you in and we set up tables and do what we need to do to make sure that, you can enjoy yourself on your special occasion. And the last thing that we've done was last year, since COVID, was going and high and everything, we did a outdoor drive-in theater. We used to have a movie theater in Bastrop, but we didn't have it at the time. So God put it in our hearts that we did an outside movie theater. You can just drive up and it was free. It didn't cost you anything. You can drive up and and watch the movie for free. If you wanted to partake of any sodas, drinks, or popcorn, anything, we had that available there for a small donation. But it's part of God's plan for our ministry. Just reach out to Bastrop and the surrounding area to give our children, give our young men, our teenagers, somewhere that they can go and be productive in life.
Right. And you and I spoke, Mr. Brown, about how can we reach him. And I asked you, Mr. Brown, maybe it wasn't that the support may not been there. Maybe we didn't know how to reach him. And when you told me how you were doing your advertisement, I spoke to you like, Mr. Brown, we got to update these kids in the phone. If people had listened to Minister Terry Newsom and Coach Brad Bradshaw, both said that we got to reach the kids in the phone. And we're here to help you, Mr. Brown. That's a lot of facility. That's a lot of land. And that could keep us from going to surrounding areas to take our kids to have activities and have fun. Tell us about your ministry and how God has been moving with you with your ministry.
Well, our ministry is I'm going to say, still going strong. Ever since, the COVID, we never closed down. We've been going from the beginning of COVID until now. But we're smart now. We come in, we do our social distancing, we check, we temperature check. We clean and sanitize. Before and after to make sure that safety is our number one thing. But between you and I think, I understand about COVID and everything else, but I believe the church is the rock. If the church is not available, what if you can't run to the church and the church is not there, something is wrong. Something is wrong. So I thank God for being able to not close down, but being able to also protect, our members and any visitors that were coming, that we was able to do it by social distancing. Like you said, we was even if we had to, that 20,000 feet square building over there, that we could have easily put 1,000 people in that building and still kept 6 feet distance. So we have the building, we have the location, we have everything that we need. We just need for the people to just come on out and be ready to get a word from the Lord.
Right. We know we talk about you having the facility and the building and having the location. We got to find a way to reach the people. As we spoke about, I was telling you about the advertisement. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's just, Mr. Brown, in this day and time, these young folks looking at phone and it's not there. It doesn't exist. And I believe that now that people are listening to the show, they can put a face with a name, and now they understand what you're trying to do. And maybe the young folks will come in, my age and younger, and we can help you and show you some of the things that we know, because there's people willing to help you, Mr. Brown, to have some innovative ideas. They may not have the resources or the facilities, but you definitely have it, and God has definitely blessed you with an enormous task that we're going to try to help you resolve and take care of. But Mr. Brown, I want to know this. What took you so long, honestly, to come back home?
What took so long? You said honestly?
Right.
Well, I asked that question because I'm gonna be honest anyway. When I left basketball, and being truthful with you, I had said, in my own heart and out of my own mouth, I never wanted to come back to basketball, to live. I wanted to come back, visit family, check on them, see how everything was doing. But I never wanted to come back to basketball to live. And in 2010, after God talking with God and God talking with me, God correcting me and consoling me, and sending me back to basketball. I came back to basketball because God sent me back to basketball. I'm doing what I'm doing in the basketball area because this is what God told me to come back to basketball to do. It would have been easy to stay in St. Louis or California or somewhere else, but it would have been out of the will, God's will. God's will for me and my family was to come back to basketball and to reach out to our community to make it better.
Right. And that's the thing, Mr. Brown, that we are trying to do. We're trying to reach out to others that have gone on and completed and mastered great feats in life and have so much to offer. It's just we have to accept it. And the Bible says, my people perish from the lack of knowledge. It's not that it's there because they reject it. And a lot of times we reject people that have done great things around here. We put a stigma on them that they think they this and that. And that's something that eMERS 360 is trying to break. I know your heart. I know that you're older generation. You may be set in your ways, but I know you're willing to listen because you really have a desire to reach the younger generation. So with that being said, I want you to understand that we love you, Mr. Brown, and we appreciate everything that you have been trying to do and you have done and the things that you're going to continue to accomplish. But like you said, we have to learn who we are. And right now, we've lost our identity. We've become something that I feel has gotten out of control. The youth, as you said, if they can't run to the church, if nowhere else, where do they go? Tell us about some of the programs that you have outside of activities that you have in your ministry.
So in the ministry, we have a youth program that's thriving and just waiting on some other youth to come. There's all type of activities that we have. We have Of course, the basketball, volleyball court, basketball court. We have baseball batting cages. We have all types of water slides and other types of blow ups right there on the property. You don't have to go anywhere. You can come right there and and get all of your energy spent right there. Parents, bring your children. We're available. If we're not, we'll make ourselves available. Our goal, and not just our goal, and that is fulfill the will of God that has for us. He sent us back to do what we're doing, and we do. We need the community to come out and and help support us to fulfill the purpose that God has given New Creation Christian Church.
And Mr. Brown, we're going to stand with you. I want you to answer this before we get out of here for the last 5 or 6 minutes. I want you to speak to the youth, for those who have a desire maybe to go professional in sports or to go and work for the federal government. I want you to, for the next 5, 6 minutes, I want you to talk to the youth and let them know it's possible coming from a small town.
I don't think a lot of people know where Perryville is, but it's down by the Hideaway Lounge. And if you go back down through there, it's only 2 or 3 houses, and it's always been like 2 or 3, right there in that area, And the only reason that I'm telling them is that, if a small black boy like me who came from Perryville can make it into the NFL and USFL, so can you. There's nothing that you can't do. You set your heart to it, you set your mind to it, and then if you include God along with it, it's nothing is impossible for God. So I would love to to be able to challenge our youth, and as well as reach out and help them in any area that I can. We didn't mention it. I know a little bit about basketball. I played basketball in high school too. I played, of course, ran track as well as football. Played baseball in the summer. So I've done a little bit and do and dabble in all of it. So if I can help you in any way, reach out to me. 318-261-0032. 318-261-0032. I'm here for you. If you want to do something in life and it's productive, and you've been held back, reach out to me and let me see what I can do to help.
Well, Ms. Brown, we appreciate you for coming on. We're looking forward to the induction ceremony, I believe September the 24th. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Yes, we're looking forward to that day. As I said before, we greatly appreciate having our first Hall of Famer actually on the show. And we wish you the best in all of your endeavors. Any last words, Mr. Brown?
No, sir. I thank you, Mr. Otis, for having me on the show. I even thank you for all of the tips that you're going to help as far as the church as far as getting out and reaching out to our community. Only thing I like to say, God said in His Word, what you make happen for someone else, He'll make happen for you. So I'm believing God as you help bless the children and the people in the Bastrop area, that God will continue to bless you and your family also.
Well, Mr. Brown, we appreciate it, and we want to thank you for being on once again, and we love you, and we stand with you. Hey, this has been another episode of Beyond the Game. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank Brachelle Family Insurance, Stepping Stone LLC, and Involved Social and Civic Club, where we understand the social and civic need of love, learn, live, and laugh. Until next time, y'all stay encouraged, get involved, and most of all, y'all get immersed. We out of this thing.
I was raised in the ghetto. I've been to the bottom. Ain't nothing at the bottom for me. Only tell all my problems. Seems he can only solve it for me. I was raised in the ghetto. See, struggle ain't no stranger to me. I grind hard for the paper. I think the top is where I'm destined to be.
I ain't never been no crash. I'm in love with fast money. I hate the ass.